Over the last few months, there has been a bit of controversy in British politics in regards to gift giving. A certain peer in the House of Lords has been giving quite a lot of interesting presents to members of Parliament, and people are asking complicated questions about what does he want in return. And it got me thinking about the etiquette of gift giving and gift receiving. It's always a little bit of a minefield, especially at Christmas time when there are high expectations of giving and receiving gifts. So I thought in this video I would share some etiquette tips and tricks of giving and receiving gifts so you don't make any social faux pas or any political ones as well. Hello, and my name is Tamsin and I run the website theonlychildclub.net, and I'm dedicated to supporting you and your gorgeous one-child family, helping you all to grow, flourish and live life to the full. Now do stay on until the very end, because I'm going to share with you about Christmas lists and whether they're a good thing or not such a good thing for adults to do. Gift giving and receiving is actually one of the 5 love languages. And actually I do have a video which after this video you can go and watch, which is all about how to give gifts according to a person's love language and their personality types. So by all means go have a look at that afterwards. However, sometimes when it comes to gift giving, even though it is supposed to just be a sign to show you love someone and you care about someone, it's also become a bit of a status game. And so I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to show that you are giving with grace and that you can receive with grace. And by all means share this video with other people in your life that you find may benefit from hearing this. So the first thing is you need to be careful of what we call the status game. Will Storr, who is a journalist, wrote a book called The Status Game, and he argues that alongside reproduction and the fight or flight mechanism, we also have the status game as part of our survival mechanism. He says it's something built within our systems, within our psyches, in order to flourish in any community, in order to get to the top, to be the best, to get the best out of the tribe, out of the community group. So if you think, again, like I talk about in the last video I made about avoiding panic attacks, and we're thinking about cavemen and women and the way that they behaved in order to survive, not only did they have the fight or flight system to fight or run away from saber-toothed tigers, and by all means if you suffer from panic attacks, do go and have a look at that video to know how to deal with that. The other thing that the cavemen and women would do, well the cavemen especially, is to ingratiate themselves into a tribe, into a community by, you know, being the best hunter, the most good looking, whatever. They'll ingratiate themselves and they'll try to race to be the top in order to get the best meat, to get the chieftain's daughter, whatever, to be the best at the top of a tribe. And this status game survival mechanism to really flourish in life is still played out today on a domestic level, in the family dynamic, in various ways, especially when it comes to gift giving. And you may be thinking, what are you talking about? Status system, giving? I don't understand. Well, have a think about it. Is there somebody in your family who likes to boast about the gifts that they give? Oh, it cost me all this much money. It was a really special gift that I've got you. You know, I really went out my way to get this gift for you. I made a few sacrifices when I did it.
A ridiculously expensive gift.
Or maybe it's another person who's like, yeah, I saved all this. They want to go up in your esteem just by boasting how much they saved on a present they gave to somebody else or even to you. It's not very loving behaviour from either of them, but sadly it is something that we see in the family dynamic, and just be aware of it, because what you want to be doing is giving with grace and receiving with grace and with love. And it's real true love. It shouldn't be a one-upmanship in regards to how expensive a present was or rare it is or how cheap it is and how little thought was put behind it. So when it comes to giving presents, all of the etiquette experts out there will explain that but the simplest rule is thinking about the receiver. What do they really want? What do they really need? What will they truly treasure? It's all about them, not about you, not about how much you're going to spend, not about the effort that you're going to do to get the thing. You don't boast about it, never boast about the presents. By all means, you can share a little bit of a backstory if it will enhance the receiver's experience when receiving the gift. So you could say, hey, I remembered how much you said you love Beatrice Potter, so I went out and I found this in an antique shop and I thought you'd really like it. So, you know, you're not talking about how much you spent or anything like that, but the fact you took note of the person and something they said, it showed that you cared because you took more interest in them. At the end of the day, when it comes to giving and receiving of gifts, what it's really about is how well you know a person and how much you have paid attention to that person, that you're willing to get them a gift that you think they're going to like or need because they brought it up. That's probably going to have more of an impact on them than the gift itself. So when it comes to giving gifts to others, here are some things to consider. Firstly, consider their culture. Would your gift be well received? Do some research. Don't give them something that, you know, might go against their culture or their religious beliefs, but may in fact enhance them. Presentation. Think about how you're going to present the present. Are you going to wrap it up in some wrapping paper? Are you going to put in a bag with some tissue paper on it? Or maybe it's quite big, so you can just stick a big bow on it. So for example, if you're giving somebody a bicycle, then you may want to put a great big bow on, which is what we did for SOPs last year. When it comes to unwanted gifts, just be careful not to get anything unwanted. So you may want to steer clear of getting clothes for somebody. That was part of the controversy in regards to the political turmoil that was happening over the last few months regarding this peer buying clothes for the Prime Minister's wife. That's so weird, that's so personal. And, you know, you do get clothes, it might not be the right size, it's going to cause problems. It could cause a bit of a social faux pas.
I hope I don't make any social faux pas.
Or, in this respect, a political faux pas, because a lot of people are asking questions about what the peer wants in exchange of giving these extravagant gifts to politicians. You may want to give a card alongside the present. You know, a lot of flowers come with little cards as well, just so that the person knows who it's from and it's just got that little personal touch. And lastly, when it comes to giving presents to others, consider timing. When are you going to do it? Make sure it's the right time. So when the person's not too busy or frantic and you just thrust a gift in their hands, they're not going to appreciate it because they're not going to have the time to be able to appreciate it. You also might want to be careful not to give it to them when they're angry or in a bad mood, but they are in a more receptive position. Be very careful in regards to the timing of giving gifts to a child, because what you don't want to be doing is if your child's just had a tantrum or something like that, especially if they wanted something and you've given a gift, then they may end up thinking, oh, if I have this tantrum, I get a present. You want to make sure your child is in a good mental place of contentment before you give them a present. So for example, if it's Christmas Day and you give presents in the morning and your child has had a bit of a, has been overwhelmed with so much going on, had a little bit of a tantrum over something, they wanted to watch a cartoon but you want to go to church or something, then don't let them open the presents that time. Wait till a little bit later, till they're in a better position to receive the present, so they don't get mixed messages and think if they have a tantrum they get a present. You don't want that behaviour, because then you have to unravel that and unspoil them. Now, as per usual, my videos are always based on blog posts I have written, and I will put the blog post in the description below on the etiquette of giving and receiving presents. And I've got one which is labelled, "What if I hate their guts?" This is an issue that happens at Christmas time because it is a season of giving. A lot of expectations on giving and receiving presents. But what if you, I don't know, in the office and your secret Santa that you picked out is somebody you don't even like and you definitely don't want to be giving a present to them? Well, there's a few things that you can do. You can perhaps swap it with somebody who you know likes that person, or you could refuse to take part in the Secret Santa, or you can just choose to get a present for them in a loving manner, even if you don't like them. But what I'm saying here is, don't buy something just because you feel obliged to. Don't give them something that you don't think that they're actually going to want or that they need. Don't just get something because it's cheap and simple. Don't waste your money on an empty gesture. That would be more insulting than not giving at all. And, in this blog post, I quote from Will Rogers, who famously said, "Too many people spend money they haven't earned on things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. It's not worth it at all." So remember that gift giving is an act of love. If you don't love the person, don't give them a gift. Now, in regards to the etiquette of receiving gifts, there is a lovely, gracious way of doing it, and there's also not such a gracious way. And I have known people where they've made a real effort to buy something for somebody else, and that other person hasn't liked it, and they've been really vocal about it, and it's upset the giver. You don't want to be doing that. So when it comes to receiving gifts, obviously remember to say thank you, even if you haven't liked the gift. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. What do you do if you are given a gift that you don't actually like? But whatever happens, make sure that you thank the person. Sometimes people forget that you've thanked them, or sometimes you can forget you've thanked them. So a good old-fashioned thank you letter or card is a good thing to do. And it's definitely something to do for people who have got married and they've received a lot of wedding gifts, and then they do thank you notes after that, which I think is a good idea, and something that you can do as a family, and I'll talk about that a bit later on as well. I was talking to my sister about this earlier today, actually, because I said I was going to record this video, and she was, "Oh, nobody does thank you letters anymore." And I thought, yeah, I know that, but actually there's something really charming to get a thank you letter, and it's evidence that you have actually thanked the person. When it comes to receiving gifts, definitely make sure that you are showing interest in the giver, that you acknowledge that they've taken the time and the expense to get you something, whether it's homemade or whether, they've gone to the shop and bought it. They've still made that effort for you. They didn't have to, but they did. So, if you're opening the present in front of them, do it slowly, do it carefully, do it with grace, and thoughtfulness. Show interest in the gift as well. Oh, this is lovely, thank you very much. Where did you get it from? You don't have to ask, do not ask them how much they spent. Or maybe you can do, but they don't have to say how much. And I advise you never tell anyone how much you spent on a present. By all means, just show interest in the person by showing interest in the gift that they have given. And receive with grace. Nothing worse than false humility. It comes across that you don't really care. So see the gift as something really positive, even if, and don't take it the wrong way when somebody gives you a gift. Maybe they have given it in a spiteful way, and I'm afraid people do that, but you can still receive it in good humour, in good jest. Now, apparently the royal family, they're stinking rich, obviously, but apparently they have a tradition when it comes to giving Christmas presents where they just get silly joke presents from joke shops. They don't actually go and buy really expensive Cartier watches for each other. So they know how to receive with grace. So when I talk about receiving with grace, it means, if somebody's given something and it's not really that much and not really that helpful, or that they're quite poor and they still went out and got you something, then receive it with as much grace as you would receive anything that was of greater monetary value. I hope that makes sense. Now, what if you don't like the gift? What can you do? Obviously, the main thing is be positive about the person. They went out and made the effort of giving you this gift. And you can still speak positively of a gift, even if it's not something you particularly like. It's, oh, this is lovely. It's a very vibrant blue. Golly. But you can be very tactful about the way that you receive the gift. You may have to be very delicate about it as well. Now, if you think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this gift? And you want to return it afterwards, then you may be able to do it without the receipt. Sometimes that happens. So you can say, hey, this is fantastic. Where did you get it from? Oh, that's very interesting. And the next day you're at that shop. Can you take this back? I don't like it. You may want to say, if you do need a receipt, you may want to say, hey, the item's a bit damaged. Don't lie. If it is a bit damaged, then, get the receipt to do that. Don't lie to them. If there isn't any reason of returning the item because it's not damaged, you don't want it and you don't want to have it, like, say, in a different colour, then you may want to just sell it on eBay or Facebook. Just be aware that if you're friends with that person on Facebook, they're going to see that you're trying to sell it. They might take offence, so you may need to take it somewhere else to sell it on. Try and make sure that they don't necessarily know if you've sold it on, or you can be honest. It depends on the person, but you can say, you know what, I really appreciate all the effort you put onto it, but it wasn't quite my cup of tea. However, I do know somebody who would really love it, so I'm gonna pay it forward and give it to them, and it's going to bless them instead. You can do it with lots of grace and decorum in that way. Now, when it comes to Christmas time, this is a really good way of developing good habits for your child on learning how to receive and give gifts in grace. That's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Give gifts with grace. That's the thing. I should have that as a Facebook post or a motto. This is a chance where your child can learn from observing the way that you give and receive gifts over Christmas when you're all opening gifts together. So here are some good habits that you can help install in your child over the festive period so that they will learn how to give and receive gifts with grace and how to develop these key social skills that they will need in the future. So the first thing is to give charitably. You may want to do something like the shoebox appeal, where you and your child can put some things together, put it in a shoebox, wrap it up, and then can send it off through Operation Christmas Child to a child in the third world who may not receive a Christmas gift except for your one. So you can teach your child how to be compassionate during the festive period and to pay it forward. Now, if you want some other ideas of how to give charitably and paying it forward over Christmas, then I have got a blog post called 10 Ways to Pay It Forward during Advent, and I will put that in the description below, and that's going to really help you install a compassionate spirit in your child from a very early age. The other thing you can do is encourage your child to write thank you letters. We certainly had to do it when we were children. Did you have to do it when you were a child? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if this is something you want to do, what I would recommend is, as your child is unwrapping their presents, just write a quick note of who gave them what. So then when it comes to writing the thank you letters on Boxing Day or a few days down the road, then you can remember who gave them what. Encourage your child to open their presents thoughtfully as well. I remember there have been times when Sops was really little. I got to admit, she was rather spoiled in regards to getting a lot of gifts and presents. Blessed is the term I prefer to use actually, rather than spoiled. She was blessed by being given a lot of items for Christmas, and she would kind of unwrap them and then want to move on to the next one quickly, but we would spend time and show her, how to appreciate it. And we showed that by unwrapping presents thoughtfully and slowly ourselves. Now, I grew up in a large family, and so obviously there was a lot of presents under the tree for each and every one of us. So what we would do is we'd open presents just from family members on this Christmas Day, and then from friends on the Boxing Day, just to extend the time, the joyous time of giving and receiving presents, and to be able to do it with thought as we're unwrapping presents and sharing happy times together. You unwrap things, oh, right, okay, that's interesting. And then the person, next to your sister or whatever is saying, oh, I got this from here, and says the backstory. And it's a joyous occasion. It's worth extending it. And also remember to recycle the wrapping paper and to show your child that you are recycling the wrapping paper, so that they also have an understanding of the importance of looking after the planet and recycling. So you can do that. You have to be careful with modern day wrapping paper. Try and avoid the foil based ones, or the paper ones with bits of foil in them, because they can't actually be recycled. So just plain paper with plain images on it without any foil or glitter, all the other things, is a good idea if you want to recycle. Or you can always keep the paper. If you unwrap carefully, you can keep the paper for the following year and use it for other presents, and that's another way of recycling. Certainly something my mum used to do. She used to keep the wrapping paper and iron it and all sorts of things. It's definitely something you may want to consider. So those are the top tips on the etiquette of giving and receiving presents. As I said, I was going to mention about Christmas lists. Do you write a Christmas list? We obviously encourage our children to write Christmas lists, because then that helps us and Father Christmas figure out what they want for Christmas. But I actually think that there is merit in adults writing Christmas lists as well, because at Christmas time people do want to give, and they can struggle to think about what they want to give you, what you actually want. So a Christmas list is actually helpful to them. I would love people to write Christmas lists and share them with me, because that will make things easier for me. So that is a polite thing to do. I write a Christmas list, and it's not about being selfish. If nobody gets me anything, that's absolutely fine. But if people want to, the list is helpful, because I can say exactly what I want with a link as well to the item, so it makes it easier for them, because Christmas is a time when people do a lot of shopping, but it does take a lot of time to buy gifts for as many people as you're trying to get for. So Christmas lists, I think, are a good idea, and I don't think they are necessarily a selfish thing. It's only selfish if you are expecting people to get things from the list. I've known people in my life, they don't do Christmas lists because they've kind of got an attitude, you should know me well enough to know what I want. I find that very difficult to deal with, personally. You know, you think you know someone, you care about that person, but you might not necessarily know what they want. And so do people a favour, write a Christmas list, let them know what you want, and it's going to make it easier for them. So it is a thoughtful thing to do. I've come up with quite a few tongue twisters in this one. Giving gifts with grace, almost alliteration. So I hope this video has proved useful to you. Please do me a favour and click the subscribe button. That would be a wonderful gift that you can give to me today that's going to help this channel to grow. And so I can give you these wonderful, helpful videos. See you next week. Toodles!